Hey guys! Today we're reading chapters 17 and 18 of Fantastic Mr. Fox by Roald Dahl. These are the last two chapters of the book, so we'll be finishing it today. Chapter 17 is called The Great Feast. Back in the tunnel, they paused so that Mr. Fox could brick up the hole in the wall. He was humming to himself as he put the bricks back into place. I could still taste that glorious cider, he said. What a cranky fellow Rat is. He has bad manners, Badger said. All rats have bad manners. I have never met a polite rat yet. And he drinks too much, said Mr. Fox, putting the last bricks into place. There we are, now home to the feast. They grabbed their jars of cider, and off they went. Mr. Fox was in the front, the smallest fox came next, and Badger was last. Along the tunnel they flew past the turning that led to Bunce's mighty storehouse, past Boggis's chicken house number 1, and then up the long home stretch towards the place where they knew Mrs. Fox would be waiting. Here they are running through the tunnel with their cider. Keep up, my darlings, shouted Mr. Fox. We'll soon be there. Think what's waiting for us at the other end, and just think what we're bringing home with us in these jars. That ought to cheer up poor Mrs. Fox. Mr. Fox sang a little song as he ran. Home again swiftly I glide, back to my beautiful bride. She'll not feel so rotten as soon as she's gotten some cider inside her inside. Then Badger joined in. Oh, poor Mrs. Badger, he cried, so hungry she very near died. But she'll not feel so hollow if only she'll swallow some cider inside her inside. They were still singing as they rounded the final corner and burst in upon the most wonderful and amazing sight any of them had ever seen. The feast was just beginning. A large dining room had been hollowed out of the earth, and in the middle of it, seated around a huge table, were no less than 29 animals. They were Mrs. Fox and the 3 small foxes, Mrs. Badger and the 3 small badgers, Mole and Mrs. Mole and 4 small moles, Rabbit and Mrs. Rabbit and 5 small rabbits, Weasel and Mrs. Weasel and 6 small weasels. The table was covered with chickens and ducks and geese and hams and bacon, and everyone was tucking in to the lovely food. And here they are. What a magnificent feast indeed. My darling, cried Mrs. Fox, jumping up and hugging Mr. Fox. We couldn't wait. Please forgive us. And then she hugged the smallest fox of all. And Mrs. Badger hugged and hugged Badger, and everyone hugged and hugged everyone else. And amid shouts of joy, the greatest jars of cider were placed upon the table. And Mr. Fox and Badger and the smallest fox sat down with the others. You must remember, no one had eaten a thing for several days. They were ravenous, starving. So for a while, there was no conversation at all. There was only the sound of crunching and chewing as the animals attacked the succulent food. At last Badger stood up. He raised his glass of cider and called out, "A toast! I want you all to stand and drink a toast to our dear friend who has saved our lives this day, Mr. Fox." "To Mr. Fox!" they all shouted, standing up and raising their glasses. "To Mr. Fox! Long may he live!" Here's Badger giving his toast. And here is Mr. Fox receiving his toast. Then Mrs. Fox got shyly to her feet and said, I don't want to make a speech. I just want to say one thing, and it is that my husband is a fantastic fox. Everyone clapped and cheered. Then Mr. Fox himself stood up. This delicious meal, he began. Then he stopped. In the silence that followed, he let fly a tremendous belch. A burp! There was laughter and more clapping. This delicious meal, my friends, he went on, is by courtesy of Messrs. Boggis, Bunce, and Bean. More cheering and more laughter. And I hope you have enjoyed it as much as I have. He let fly another colossal belch. Better out than in, said Badger. Thank you, said Mr. Fox, grinning hugely. But now, my friends, let us be serious. Let us think of tomorrow and the next day and the days after that. If we go out, we will be killed, right? Right, they shouted. We will be shot before we've even gone a yard, said Badger. Exactly, said Mr. Fox. But who wants to go out anyway? Let me ask you that. We're all diggers, every one of us. We hate the outside, and the outside is full of enemies. We only go out because we have to get our food for our families. But now, my friends, we have an entirely new setup. We have a safe tunnel leading to 3 of the finest stores in the world. We do indeed, said Badger. I've seen 'em. And you know what this means, said Mr. Fox. It means that none of us need to ever go out into the open again. There was a buzz of excitement around the table. I therefore invite all of you, Mr. Fox went on, to stay here with me forever. Forever? They cried. My goodness, how marvelous! And Rabbit said to Mrs. Rabbit, My dear, just think, we're never going to be shot at again in all of our lives. We will make, said Mr. Fox, a little underground village with streets and houses on each side, separate houses for badgers and moles and rabbits and weasels and foxes, and every day I will go shopping for all of you, and every day we will eat like kings. The cheering that followed this speech went on for many minutes. There's all the animals cheering. Chapter 18 is called Still Waiting. Outside the fox's hole, Boggis and Bunce and Beans sat beside their tents with their guns on their laps. It was beginning to rain. Water was trickling down the necks of the 3 men and into their shoes. He won't stay down there much longer now, Boggis said. The brute must be famished, Bunce said. That's right, Bean. He'll be making a dash for it any moment. Come on, keep your guns handy. They sat there by the hole waiting for the fox to come out. And so far as I know, they're still waiting. All right, guys, that's all for Fantastic Mr. Fox by Roald Dahl. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.